Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. I've got some planting to do today and then a little bit of what I'm going to call landscape design. About, I would say, 1.5 to 2 years ago, I really started to open my eyes to the importance of landscape design. I met Michael Glassman, the landscape designer who I wrote a book with. He has taught me so incredibly much. And just through experience, which is my favorite way to learn, I have learned how important it is to incorporate design into your gardens. I will admit, I am a flower girl through and through. I love flowers the most. If I could just have a whole garden that is just pure flowers, I would be a happy girl. However, I am realizing the benefits of adding in other structure, other things, the gazebo, the pathways, the berms, the mounds. It really makes a huge difference, and it just allows the flowers that I love so much to shine. So I think most of you know I am a master gardener. I went through my local master gardener training course in 2023, and I cannot say enough about how wonderful that program is. It is such a fantastic program. I really understand plants now, horticulture, botany, all that kind of stuff. I feel so good about it. And for me, learning makes such a huge difference in my gardening hobby, if you want to call it a hobby, career, I guess. Learning because it kind of just opens your eyes to everything. And so now I feel like I'm kind of on the path of learning more about landscape design. One, working with Michael Glassman has been a huge change, and then really focusing on the landscape design that I have in my garden first, and then being able to incorporate the plants around it. It makes it so I feel like my garden is so much more finished. And so every planting that I do, I try and think about landscape design. Maybe I might not install it before I plant because obviously I can't control when I get the plants, but just to kind of have an idea in the back of my mind of what I'm going to do makes a huge difference. I do want to mention, as I'm talking about landscape design, Garden Design, who I work with a lot, I'm basically friends with them. They have these wonderful webinars, and this month's webinar is on landscape design by Rebecca Sweet, and it's going to be great. So sign up for that. I will put a link in the description down below. I am definitely taking that course. So let me show you what I'm working on today with planting and what I'm talking about with the landscape design that I'm trying to incorporate into this planting. Okay, so I'm sure you guys can see I'm up by the front of the house today, the orchard garden over there behind my truck, and I'm working right here on this berm. And this berm we left in because, well, when we were scooping out dirt other areas, we ended up putting dirt there. And that was part of the landscape design that Michael helped me do for my property. He had designed a hog wire fence around here, so kind of over on the other side of Monty, and then coming over this way. And then he designed the berm, and then I could plant trees or whatever I wanted in the berm. And the reason for doing that is because he is trying to create kind of like a courtyard area in my front garden right here. And then right where the truck is, I am going to have like a pergola gate thing where it kind of goes up and over and then has a gate. And what that's going to do is that's going to give my California ranch house more of an entrance, because right now my house is so long and low, it's kind of hard to tell where the entrance is. I can't tell you how many times people knock on that sliding door right there. It's the funniest thing. So having a gate right here will kind of give it more, I don't know, it'll give it a little bit more formality and a little bit more of like an entrance, I guess, is, what I'm trying to say. So that is something that we're going to be doing in the future, but having that idea that this whole area is going to be its own courtyard, it's making me think about what I want to plant right here on the berm. So of course, my immediate inclination for planting on the berm is flowers, right? Why not? I have these beautiful Superbena pink cashmere. I think you all know how obsessed I am with this plant. I actually planted this in my zigzag planter last year, and it performed so beautifully. It is such a gorgeous plant. It's a new introduction. It was new last year from Proven Winners, and I just think it's one of the best new plants that they've introduced in a really long time. It's super, super vigorous, just like Superbena Whiteout and Superbena Violet Ice, but it has this beautiful pink color to it that I'm just obsessed with. So my plan was to kind of cover this whole berm area with the pink Superbena, and I think that will be absolutely absolutely beautiful. But then, like I was saying, I'm thinking about landscape design. I'm thinking about the garden design webinar and talking to Michael Glassman. And then, of course, the book we wrote together. And I'm thinking, okay, Janie, add more structure, add more design to it. So I think you all know last year I went to Islei Nursery up in Oregon. I'll link the video that I filmed there, but I was talking to them about what plants would go well or handle the heat in my Zone 9B garden. And they gave me a whole bunch of selections and actually sent me a couple plants. And one of them was this Blue Angel Cedar of Lebanon. Look at that tree. Look at how interesting and beautiful it is. And just the fact that it's going to be able to handle our heat, I'm super excited about. So this is structure that I think I needed. So for the stats, it gets up to 25 feet high, 15 feet wide. It can handle down to -10, full sun, and it grows about 15 inches per year. But I want to remind you all that it kind of curves on the top. So it's not going to get that tall that quick. It's going to be one of those slow growers. So that I think I'm going to plant right there, right next to my lavender twist redbud that has beautiful structure as well. Really interesting structure. So those two are going to be my big trees that I have here. And then in front of that, another one that I saw when I was visiting Islei was this miniature common juniper. And actually in their display gardens, they had the juniper compressa, which is very similar to this plant. It's a little bit taller and a little bit narrower. This one is about 3 feet high and 1.5 feet wide. It's just a tiny baby plant just for structure. But this one is supposed to handle the heat better. It's actually supposed to handle cold better, and it's supposed to handle wind better. So it's just like a bulletproof plant. So I was thinking 3 of those right there, the cedar right behind it, and then I headed to the landscape supply store this morning and I got myself some beautiful mossy rocks. And I was so happy because these 2 rocks together was only $20. I mean, what a steal, and how much design and beauty and structure is that going to add to my whole planting area? So the idea is I'm planting the flowers. That's what I'm focused on. That's what I really want in this area. But the junipers, the cedar, the height of the berm, and the rocks are going to add a little bit of design and give me some structure behind all the flowers. Again, I don't want to judge anybody if you just want to plant flowers. I am right there with you. But this will elevate it just a little bit and make your design look a little bit more finished. So first things first, I'm going to have Jason come out and help me with these rocks because they are very, very heavy. Oh my goodness, you guys, look at how good this looks already. Monty likes it too. It looks so good. I am so happy with it. I am so happy with this Blue Angel cedar. It's gorgeous. The miniature junipers are absolutely beautiful. I definitely got this idea from the Islei display gardens. Again, I'll link that video in the description down below because that is not a garden that's open to the public, but it is just beautiful. And then the rocks, it's perfect. Now, the one thing is I was having trouble staking the Blue Angel. This is just one of those trees that you definitely need to stake. Unfortunately, I have yet to go to the garden center to get more stakes, and so I had to use the transport stake. I just took the transport stake off of the trunk and moved it over a couple inches and tied some twine to it. So I'm gonna have to go get something for a longer term solution, but that's fine for short term. I'm just in love with this. I just think it looks so incredibly beautiful. And we don't even have any color yet, which is what I'm gonna add right now. Okay, it looks even better than I imagined, than I planned for it to look. I am so in love with this right now, you guys. I absolutely love it. So the miniature junipers are gorgeous. The rocks are beautiful. I probably would have gone a little bit bigger with the rocks had I been able to carry them or had I known Jason would be able to carry them. But I like what I have there. I think it's gorgeous. And then the Blue Angel, it's just so good. I love it. So the pink cashmere, I'm actually planning on leaving here for a couple years. So like I said, I had the pink cashmere in my zigzag planter last year and I loved it. And at the end of the year, I think it was November, I transplanted it over to there and it didn't handle the late transplant. So normally this plant is a temperennial. I think it's zones 8 through 11. So if you live in those zones, it should overwinter, but don't do what I did and transplant it super late in the season because it's not going to have time to root in and it'll struggle. But these guys, I think I'm going to leave here because I really like this whole setup. So they get about 2.5 feet wide. So they should cover this whole area. I am going to keep it pruned away from the junipers just to make sure the junipers can grow well. And then underneath that, I do have a lot of creeping Jenny that I planted here last year, and I'm going to leave that and just let that keep growing and see if that can be a little bit of a ground cover too, which I think will be really pretty with that chartreuse color. Then we have the pink cashmere, we have the green, the kind of bluish green of the junipers, and the very bluish green of the Blue Angel cedar. So you guys, I am so happy with this. It looks so good. So I hope this shows that a little bit of thought into the garden design or landscape design can make a huge difference in your garden. I will always be flowers first. They are my true love. They are what keeps me going during the day is the beauty of flowers, but adding a little bit of structure can make such a huge difference. So I hope you all enjoyed this and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.